What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing the first expansion for Disney Sorcerer's Arena, the Turning the Tide expansion. It is published by the Op Games and designed by Scott Fletcher. Now, Julie's going to tell you more about the game itself.
Before I do, I'd like to thank the Op Games for giving us a review copy. We do appreciate it. I would like to remind our viewers, though, that our opinions will remain our own.
Yes.
So, that being said, this is a competitive game, like the base game that it's based on. Base game based on. Okay.
You mean the base game that it's expanding?
Okay, so it is for ages 13 and above. It's for 2 or 4 players, and it plays in about 35 minutes. This version is the Oceanic expansion, I guess we call it.
Yeah, it brings the Oceanic characters. You already have one in terms of Ariel, but that's pretty neat because different characters will have different traits. This brings those traits into play. This will add Lilo's best friend and strange alien companion, Stitch, to the game. It adds Moana as well as Davy Jones. Now, what's pretty cool about that is you see that they're going to be pulling from all of the Disney properties, even Pirates of the Caribbean, so maybe we'll see Captain Jack Sparrow in the near future. What you're going to be doing in the game is exactly what you were doing in the previous game. You're going to be battling for the spots on the board that give you victory points, trying to knock out the other players to score the most victory points the fastest. Once you get to 20 victory points, the end game will be triggered, and the player with the most at the end of the round will win the game. I don't think I missed anything at all there, Julie. Do you?
No, I think you got it.
All right. On that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend, and take it to the table one more time.
So I just beat you in the last game. Do you think I'll be able to beat you this time?
I don't know. It's been fairly even so far, at least fairly close. Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances. We'll start with the characters. So we've got Stitch. He's got a pretty cool skill called Unstoppable. We can banish a card from your hand to get rid of any negative status effect on Stitch. His constant ability means that if he ever takes 3 or more damage, he gains 2 tough. When you get him boosted up here is whenever he deals damage to a rival, that rival gains 2 no punchbacks. These are a new status condition, which means that the character cannot actually attack Stitch. If you're wondering what this blank one is, this is just an extra one that you can use for anything during the course of the game. Now, I'll show you the Stitch standee. I can't take him apart because for whatever reason, as you can see, he's very loose. See, look, there he goes, running away from me. So that you can see, cool looking standee. Like the way the colors came out. Just wish that he fit a little bit better in the base. So next we've got Moana, whose skill is Across the Sea, which means she can place these tiles out in adjacent spaces, and then she'll get extra movement by moving through them. Actually, any Oceanic character, and you'll see that type on the player cards, can use them to gain more movement. Her ability is that whenever you place an Oceanic tile in the arena, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put each of those cards back in any order on top or bottom of the deck. So finding your way and setting up what you want to do. Now her standee fits just fine. So cool standee. Really like the look of her character. Next we've got Davy Jones, who is probably the most complicated character to play in the game right now. He can curse his allies, curse crew when they deal damage to enemies. For his constant ability, will heal Davy Jones. He's got this really strong Summon the Kraken, where at the end of the turn, he can summon the Kraken essentially in any space and deal 3 damage to each rival on or within 1 space of the chosen space. He's definitely tricky to use because you're cursing your allies, trying to curse enemies, and then triggering different effects. That's why you get some more of these cursed tokens. And then we, of course, have the new initiative track markers, once again, dual-sided. And then lastly, we're going to take a quick look at the cards. We're not going to go through them in too much detail. What you can see from this Stitch card, though, is it's got different effects from odd or even number health, depending on the health you have. You've got some plasma cannons, cute and fluffy, so you can gain 2 strong or 2 tough. So some pretty cool stuff for Stitch. When you're looking at Moana, you've got Grandma Tala's Guidance, move up to 3 spaces, and then you can heal by going through ocean tiles. You've got the Heart of Te Fiti, Crashing Waves, Beyond the Reef, Aura Strike. So stuff that's very thematic to the movie. We Know the Way. Next, we've got Do You Fear Defeat for Davy Jones. Deal damage to an adjacent rival equal to the number of characters with Cursed plus 2 damage, so pretty strong. Deal 3 damage. And then up to 2 cursed characters can recover health. So there's some neat stuff that you can do. Recruit the Fallen. Drag enemies below. Forbidden Treasures, which will let you draw cards based on the amount of cursed characters you have. So some cool new elements being added to the game. And you've now seen the components, so keep it right here. Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review for this expansion. So Julie, what did you think of Turning the Tide, the first expansion for Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances? Yeah, it's a mouthful of a name, I know.
Definitely is. As we suspected, Moana does have a lot of movement.
Yes.
Actually, I don't feel, I just got to play her once. I don't feel like I really truly took full advantage of her ability to put out ocean
I think
tiles.
that's part of the game, though, and I think that's something that we need to talk about after, like when we really give our review, because I feel that happens with a lot of characters that you don't necessarily get to use them to their full potential, partially because of how quick each match and each round is.
Well, no, but I think you seeing me play allowed you to figure out some of the things. Like I think I was starting to figure out at the end, I don't necessarily use it for right away. The idea is to plan it out and leave things behind, which I definitely didn't do. And you did more.
I did a little bit of it, but the problem was I didn't get any of the cards that let me really take advantage of any of that to chain some cool stuff together.
Well, this is definitely something, I mean, we said it when we talked about the base game, and I would say it again for this game. Your game really depends on the luck of the draw for the cards, because I really wasn't getting much in one game, and then in others, I got sheer bravado for Gaston, which took you completely by surprise and allowed me to come from behind.
Yeah, you got the best. You got his best attack card in the game. You also got the top of the deck, which is strong. So she did win the last game because she was able to deal 5 damage to Moana, which I was not expecting. I figured that I would have one more round of attacks, which would have put me in the driving seat to win our last game.
So that's part of the surprise element from the game and the unpredictability, and it can work in anybody's favor. It does, remain a quick game, which still is an advantage when you're trying to get something done. You want to play a game, but you don't want to commit to, hours of play.
And I think it fits well with the family scheme, like the family theme for this game, because kids can play against each other and they're not going to feel that frustrated. If a game plays quickly, it'll be 30 to 45 minutes, 1v1, and they'll be able to swap out their characters or keep the same characters and go again. And because of the way the deck works, it'll be very different. But we were just talking a little bit about the game in general, because we did get some more experiences with Turning the Tide. We were talking about Moana. She's got some cool movement abilities. She also has some cool movement abilities for other members of the team, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, past members too, right? So like she could impact Ariel, so you could build yourself an ocean-faring team, basically.
Well, that's what you really get with Stitch, Moana, and Davy Jones are all considered oceanic. You get these new ocean tiles, which give any oceanic character some extra movement. But the one card that I didn't use, but you didn't use, is you get We Know the Way with Moana, which lets you place any character in a space adjacent to an ocean tile. Meaning, if you place them here, well, after another player's turn, so maybe you strategically put Moana further down the initiative track, while she can move someone that's maybe up front fighting back to a safer position and also gain some victory points.
And Davy Jones, again, the villains tend to, we said it in our last review, you can go check it out if you want to listen to it, but the villains really seem to be the most fun to play. Yes. Davy Jones has a lot of different things. He's also more complex, I think, than the other ones we played. You really have to...
He is the most complicated character. Not to interrupt you there, but agreed, because his mechanic where you're cursing your own team to try to draw cards, or cursing your team to deal extra damage, but while healing Davy Jones, it's very intricate, and you really need to get the right cards and the right setup to pull it off. So I did find that to be a little frustrating, but he has really interesting mechanics. Now, I don't know if he'd work better with other maybe bigger characters like Sulley that can take a little more damage because of all the cursing you're doing. We really just play the characters, here are the new characters, let's talk about them.
And Stitch, well, it's interesting. He's got a lot of different, if your health is here, then you do this. And that added a little bit of variability, I would say, and a little bit more flexibility to the cards, because they still allowed you to do extra damage, but then, sometimes it's extra damage, sometimes it's cards. So he did, excuse me, I do feel like he offered a little bit more fun variety of things to do.
Yeah, I'm about to say, in terms of heroes, because we were talking about the way heroes feel, I think Stitch may be the most balanced, hero character. I mean, it even says villain on, Davy Jones's character. Also, want to note, I did not expect to see characters from Pirates of the Caribbean, so I think that actually is a pretty cool addition, because it makes the game a lot broader in the terms that it will be able to bring in, other franchises than just the animated ones. So yes, back to Stitch. I just felt like he was a really good all-rounder. He's got range attacks. He can get up close. He can get some nice, tough status boosts so he can mitigate some damage. His abilities that can hit hard and then give another character no punchbacks, meaning you can't hit Stitch for multiple turns, is very, very interesting. And I thought that he was a really cool character to play. And probably my favorite hero character right now. Moana's fun, but I think Stitch is actually a lot better. Especially when you can deal out 3 damage to whichever characters you want. You can finish off one, set up someone else to be taken out as well. That's with his plasma cannons.
Yeah, I mean, Moana was fun. I mean, the Ore Strike, I think, it was just, having seen the movie, the cards felt thematic. Never seen Stitch. I mean, I know I've never watched the Lilo and Stitch, so I know the movie, but I haven't watched it, so I don't really know it. Davy Jones is thematic as well, because obviously, as you said, you're cursing, and the cards you have really do fall into the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So,
yeah, dragging people below the sea, it very much fits the theme. Once again, I will say though, I'm still not sold on the upgrade system.
Oh, we never even used them. I didn't use them. I don't know that maybe it's different when different people are controlling, if you're playing more players, then maybe it takes a little bit longer. I don't know.
No, I felt that by the time we were able to upgrade a character, we really finally only had enough to upgrade one. That being said, you used Davy Jones' ability in the first game to great effect, and I was setting up to do it again here. So once again, I find that some abilities are much better than the others. But other characters' decks may be just a little bit more flexible in terms of the things that they can do. And if you can really get Moana moving around the map, especially if you get those ore strikes, 4 damage each time is going to be fairly punishing to most characters in the game. I don't really have anything else to add, do you?
Me neither.
All right, so Julie, how do you rate Turning the Tide?
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Oh, wow. So you gave the game a 6.5, I think, originally. You're giving this a 7.5. So let's just go back to this box. What do you think of it now as you've seen a little bit more of the potential in some of the other characters?
I think as we're going to bring in, as I'm sure there'll be other expansions coming, I think it rounds it out a little bit more. So, yeah, I think that's the game.
So this is more like a 7 now than a 6.5?
Maybe. I think I was frustrated because things hadn't gone my way. Maybe that's why.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to agree with Julie. I think the Turning the Tide expansion is a 7.5. I think it's a really good expansion. If you're looking for more content for Epic Alliances, you'll definitely want to pick it up. The value is a little bit on the high side for in Canadian right now, depending on what you're purchasing. The expansion, the prices seem to be a little bit all over the place, but you're getting some good value overall in terms of the variability of gameplay and just keeping this on the game table a little bit longer. I don't have much more to say other than that, but yeah, I enjoyed it and I like the ocean theme. I'm curious what we're going to see next, and want to see some more of my favorite heroes. Maybe get some Hercules, or even, well, they already did. The ocean characters are going to say, where's Captain Jack Sparrow?
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing the Turning the Tide expansion, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. Great way to support the channel is a portion of that purchase is returned to us. So if you're looking for a copy of this or the expansion for it, make sure to check them out. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. Over here will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, we'll take you back to our review and how to play of Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances. And now it's time for us to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend and fellow Sumner. I'm going to remind you to keep playing games.